This is a building that after the Capones won this thing, okay, in a game of chance, this building was built over the other building. And then, like you see it, okay, a magnificent speakeasy was on the first floor, and then a brothel on the second floor, and then the guys did their thing on the third floor.
Well, we do believe that there was some gangsters or some mafia from back in the 30s and 40s that do haunt this place.
There's no question that a lot of murders happened here. All the floors, there's blood on all the floors.
This is one of the top of my list of haunted places in the Chicagoland region.
I got a tap on my back, and I see this woman, she about in her 60s roughly, and she disappeared. I was speaking to a ghost, and I didn't know it. Downstairs, there was a lot of torture. If they did live beyond that, they'd bring them out over here, they'd be bleeding, but they'd finish them off, they'd just whack them the rest of the way. And you could see patterns here where the blood has come up. I believe that as far as who was responsible for all this, okay, I believe that the mob was. The upstairs is even worse than this.
Let's go in the double room.
Some guys, I believe, instead of meeting the ladies, might have met their demise.
There have been a lot of voice recordings, interactions through manifestations.
No one would ever leave here a skeptic.
Tommy Guns is Chicago's only Roaring 20s speakeasy. Paranormal activity actually began before we even opened. It just kept getting worse and worse, and finally we decided, well, it had to be the ghosts.
I do believe this place is haunted because of the activity that has taken place with history being a brothel and speakeasy. There are several ghosts here, of course, because of the reason why I spoke. They were possibly murdered, one in the basement by the name of Rosie, who was a prostitute during Prohibition. Linda Petrina is our clairvoyant that we use. She's on our research team.
Oh, listen to it.
Yeah, it's right here.
And I got cold, I mean ice cold. Even though she was shot, it took her a while to die. She was alive for minutes because she suffered.
We've got a lady in the bathroom that cries.
If you were murdered, can you please uncross the rods?
Clearly, there was something different on one side of her, just her elbow and the other. It was like a 16-degree drop in temperature from one part of her to the other. Just really weird, because I don't believe in ghosts.
I believe this place to be actively haunted. We all have the ability to communicate with entities.
The Red Lion, as far as I'm concerned, is a very important site because there is more activity here consistently over the years than any other spot I know of in the area. When I do have an experience, it's just an adrenaline rush. The Red Lion pub dates back actually to about 1882. It was obtained by John Cordwell, well-known Chicago architect, and John would transform this place into a British pub. But then after a while, things began to be noted. And among the most common occurrences here are phantom footsteps. But the most dramatic occurrence that ever occurred here, at least as far as I'm concerned, was an auditory occurrence. It was a just horrific screaming of a woman as if she's being murdered. Just a blood-curdling scream, and I knew it was coming from the washrooms. We all ran into the women's washroom to find an empty room. One ghost here, perhaps the one that's responsible for the footsteps, the perfume, and the screaming, could well be a woman named Sharon who lived here years ago who died upstairs when there were apartments. Some think that John Cordwell himself is around here now.
This image appeared on one of the pictures. And to me, that looks very much like John.
The stairwell that bends that goes up to the second floor is a constant site of activity. You might feel somebody give you a shove or bump or whatever, and it's like you're not alone on the stairwell. There's someone else there as well.
I don't like being up there by myself. Like when I close up, I just make sure everything's locked up and get out of there.
I've been investigating reports since 1975 in the Chicagoland area. In my opinion, Bachelor's Grove is by far the most haunted location. The cemetery itself is about a little over an acre of land that was put aside about 1864. It was a settlement of German immigrants, and most of them were in fact bachelors. That's why the area is known as Bachelor's Grove. People come out here, unfortunately, during Halloween or close to Halloween. They vandalize the graves. Back in 1976, in the far end of the cemetery over in this direction, of actual satanic worship that took place. Particularly in the 20s and 30s, there were bodies found in there, which were thought to be victims from the Capone era of people that were dumped in there to get rid of a body. So if you put together the satanic worship, the bodies being dumped out here, and the grave desecration, you can see why many people believe it to be so haunted out here. I've had people come out here in the past, they would see things, they would capture things on videotape or pictures that they couldn't explain. And a number of people related that right here, some of the equipment fluctuated, they got a strange feeling, and we snapped a number of photographs of this tombstone from different angles. And one particular angle does show a profile of a semi-transparent figure of a woman. So I would not suggest coming out here at night or by yourself under any circumstance.